Dr. Chakravarti, if I could ask you about the transfusion of L-carnitine that both Farrow received before the London Marathon in 2014. You administered that.
So the dose that was decided on was 2.7 grams, which actually isn't a big intravenous dose. And the delivery method was an injection where we got vials. You know, a vial is a sort of a glass container with the fluid in, and it's got, each of those vials is 5 mils and would have 1 gram of L-carnitine in. So to do an injection of 2.7 grams, then you'd need 13.5 mils, and that's what we did.
Okay, and was it your decision to choose injection rather than infusion?
Well, infusion can mean injection.
Yeah, okay, so you injected it. You injected it. Was that your decision?
Yes, it was my decision, but it was never really a consideration that we do anything other than injection. So yes, it was my decision, but it came from the protocol, which was very clear that it was going to be an injection.
Okay, so the protocol was clear that it would be injected.
Yeah.
And that was information you were given by Dr. Fudge.
Yeah, it's information that was sent to me that I agreed with. Yes.
Yeah, and that said, this is the dosage, and this is how we want you to administer it.
Yeah, the exact protocol.
Yeah, okay. And so you received, Dr. Fudge, you received advice from Alberto Salazar on the protocols for the use of the drug. That's correct, isn't it?
No, I received his observations of using the product with his athletes. I created the dosage.
So that was, and his observations were based on the impact it had on another athlete that was part of his training program.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that didn't include advice on dosages.
No.
And do you think? I mean, obviously, as we discussed earlier, the limit is that the maximum dosage is said it's set much higher than the dosage you administered. Do you think there are athletes that are being treated at much higher levels close to the limit that's been set?
Certainly within British athletics and the athletes that I work with, that I can only talk about, that's not the case. But as you know, the world's a big place, and I'm sure there are people doing things like that.
But so do you think the amount that Mo Farah received for his weight as an athlete, which is how you said you calculated it, is typical for its use, for the usage of L-carnitine when administered to athletes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you've got no reason to believe or suspect that it's part of Alberto Salazar's program that athletes are receiving much higher dosages?
None at all. I've never seen anything or heard anything like that.
Look, Dr. Fudge, Dr. Chakravarti, by the sound of things, this L-carnitine supplement that the athlete's been given amounts to a legal performance-enhancing substance.
Yes.
A legal, not an illegal, a legal performance-enhancing substance. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
The only reason to take is to improve performance.
Yeah.
So why would that be legal as opposed to illegal? You're giving somebody a substance that is not to do with their athletic prowess, but is everything to do with using a chemical process within the body to improve performance. Why should that be legal and not illegal? Sorry, forgive me, as I say, I'm not an expert, so can you explain it to me? One of you, don't mind.
You start. We have access to the WADA prohibited list, which tells us an extensive list of things that are illegal. Yeah, that's thoroughly researched and it's updated annually. And L-carnitine isn't on that list. It's illegal.
Okay, maybe my question should have been, why isn't it on the list? Look, this is somebody seeking to gain an advantage. An athlete seeking to gain an advantage by taking a substance rather than through their own individual athletic prowess, isn't it?
Gentlemen, thank you for giving the evidence today, but I have to say I've been a bit disappointed because I think some of the comments I've heard have just shown a kind of remarkably lax attitude towards what is effectively drug taking in sport, which is what we're looking at in this committee. You've said, in particular Dr. Chakravarti, that you abide by the rules, and we've heard that a lot throughout the course of this hearing, and it's really starting to grate on us because at the same time, at the very beginning, you said that you believe in the integrity of sport. And I actually have a really hard time then between those things, because you are enabling the partaking of what you admit to be performance-enhancing drugs in sport for non-medical reasons, purely to give somebody a competitive edge. And I have a problem with that and saying you abide by or support the integrity of the sport. I think my constituents would have a hard time understanding that as well.
We've got 135, 140 athletes on funding. Last year we recorded 5,000 medical interventions with those athletes. So if you do the maths, you'd either think these people are very, very sick, or they're finely tuned athletes where there's a lot of tweaking.
Good evening. It took steroid use from the locker room to the hearing room, and tonight, after an exhaustive, often painful series of hearings, the Dubin Report is out. It sums up the findings of the Dubin inquiry the commission set up after Ben Johnson shattered a trust along with a record in Seoul. It names athletes, doctors, organizations, blames them for the acceptance, in some cases, encouragement of steroid use. And it stresses in no uncertain terms that things must change. The CBC's Gillian Findlay followed the testimony throughout the Dubin drama. Tonight, she brings us its conclusion.
Dubin's greatest criticism is saved for Canada's Olympic movement and sport governing bodies. The report says the failure of many bodies to treat the problem more seriously and to take more effective means to detect and deter the use of drugs has contributed in large measure to the extensive use of drugs in athletes. In addition to increased testing, he recommends government funding to sports groups no longer be linked to medal counts.
We are the lead strategic agency for high performance sport, Olympic and Paralympic, developing the system here in the UK. And our focus is on driving the delivery of medal success. And our focus is on driving the delivery of medal success. And our focus is on driving the delivery of medal success and actually showcasing that through the major event work that we do.